What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're back doing another preview video. This is going to be game 3 for the test series, if you will, for the Australia versus France game. This is where we chuck a game of rugby on in the background and we talk about the official teams announced, who we think is going to do well, who we think is going to do badly, and finally give a score prediction. So there's going to be an awful lot to talk about in this one. So let's get this game kicked off and underway. Alrighty, Bell is going to get us kicked off underway. We'll start off going to the right for today. We'll go with the win behind us and we will get it away. So, France versus Australia. This has been a very, very interesting series to watch. I did do the preview for the first game they played. However, I just ran out of spare time to do a preview for the second game they played. In the first preview, as someone headbutts the ball here, in the first preview, I had France down to win. The first game, I thought they'd be able to beat Australia. I thought their team looked very, very strong. Australia coming in off of a bit of a spell of no real sort of international rugby. I thought France would be able to take that game. France absolutely smashed that game, had a superb game, and then it got to the 70th minute and they just decided they didn't fancy winning it anymore. They were done. They proved they could do it, job done. And they just sort of threw the game away. Australia played well, managing to come back in, but the decision making and the penalties given by France was just bizarre. Watching that game, it's probably one of the few games I watched with just an open mouth at what was happening, including right at the end. The final lineup was just terrible. So I backed France to win that one. Australia won that one. Week 2, although I didn't manage to do a preview video for it, I went and backed Australia. I thought the rust will have worn off now. They will have settled into the game. They'll see how France are playing. They'll know that they're basically going to attack the breakdown. The kicking is only going to be used sparingly to try and regain position at field. Australia will be able to cover this now. Australia will be back on top form. And France went in with a slightly weaker team, in my opinion. So, for the second game, I backed Australia. And France won that one. So I have not done very well in the predictions at all for anyone involved in the fantasy predictor we've got going on the channels. We go for a lovely set play here as Pierce. Oh, straight through the middle there. Superb little run. Oh, you might even be able to get him for a try here. So, lots to talk about in this game because this is going to be for the test. Best of 3. By now, really, I think France should have already won it. They definitely shouldn't have thrown away that first game. And they just still look like they were outplaying Australia. Australia, again, the decision-making for Australia hasn't been great either. Some of the penalties they've taken, some of the decisions to kick to the corner rather than posts were blowing my mind a little bit. And a couple of the players not really living up to some of the standards you'd probably expect for them. So, moving into this game, seeing as we're playing France, let's talk about France first. So, first game for them, they will have probably been quite happy with the general performance until that sort of final 10 minutes where they let it go. The second game, they looked very in control. That breakdown area for them has been absolutely superb. Dominant tackles, knocking back Australia, going for the 2-on-1 hits. Also not committing men when they didn't need to. And they've just got so many specialists in their forwards that can turn over the ball, including actually towards the backfield as well. People like Dante have been playing really, really well for them. So let's have a look at the France team announced for this week, where we see quite a few switch-ups. Starting off in this front row, Folletta, Barlow and Falatea. So this is a very different setup in terms of this front row. This is probably going to be the weakest front row, I'd probably say, that France have played so far in any of these 3 games. Obviously want to get a few boys more used to playing a test game against like a Southern Hemisphere team who are going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, teams that love to utilise that scrum as they can do. In all honesty, Bamba's done quite well in terms of the scrummaging, not so much outfield, but the scrummaging from Bamba's been pretty good so far, so no doubt we'll probably see him come on at some point in that second half just to fill in. Moving towards the locks, Kazoo and Taufai Fanua, still giving away a lot of penalties, Taufai Fanua, but the line-out demon is back in. He's just a big, tall gentleman. He's going to be able to get in there, steal some line-outs if he can do, and work his way through a couple of the mauls that Australia still haven't got going 100% perfectly working well for them, so they'll want to improve there. Looking at the back row, Dylan Cretin, Woki and Jalonch, the captain. Now, Jalonch, for me, struggled in that first game. I don't think he had the best game. I'm not sure if that was sort of fatigue or sort of tiredness. I think he struggles a little bit. He obviously isn't super confident with talking English, which is very difficult when you have refs that only talk in English. All of his commentary I've seen post-game always has to have a translator for him to speak French. So I don't know if it's that he can't speak English or if he just has as like a very much a second language to him. So he certainly struggles trying to keep up with some of the what's going on with the referees and whatnot. Dylan Cretin is nice to see coming in that flanker shirt. I do like him. I think he's a really good player. Can also play 8 if they need him to. Not that I see Jalonch going off really anytime soon when he is captain. And Woki finally superb. He's had a really good couple of games, actually coming on from the bench, I believe, in the first game, but actually played in the second game. And the breakdown for him is just a great area. He's just so good at jackling over the ball. Running with the ball in hand is fine. And the tackle, the way he tackles is quite interesting. He tackles players, but almost in a way like he purposefully grabs legs to allow the man he's tackling to actually move forwards towards the defenders. So people attacking with the ball in hand actually end up getting turned over more often than not. So he's a very good tackler, very good in that just breakdown area all round. So a strong 1-8, certainly going to be weaker than a couple of the other teams that have played so far for the France team. So they're going to have their work cut out, but Australia probably won't have been happy so far with their own performance. So there's every chance it'll still work well for them. Moving towards the backs, Kuyu, struggling for me. You know, he's doing some good work, but I personally am missing people like Baptiste Saran or Dupont. If we could see him in there as well, I think it would be very useful for them. But Kuyu still trying hard. He's just got it's just not working all round on the field for him. The box kicking wasn't the best in the first game. I would probably say it improved in the second game. Would like to see a little bit more from him. I think he's going to maybe struggle to keep that shirt when a couple of the big boys are going to be back in this team. Hastoy taking over in fly half. So a change there. I don't know a lot about Hastoy, so that'll be a new one for me. Teddy Thomas coming in on the left wing. This will be nice to see. Villiers has actually played quite well so far in these two games. We don't get to see him run with the ball as much as we would like. That France team, well, in fact, both teams really not opening up their backs an awful lot. It's been a very forward-based series so far for them. So it'd be nice to see someone like Teddy Thomas who can run with the ball in hand, making some way through there. The centre partnership changing up a bit. Alpha Vincent and Barassi is going to come in now in that 13 shift. So a big shift. Dante did pick up, I think, an injury when he was playing in the last game, and he did go off at one point. So I'm not sure if that's going to have carried on from there. But Dante has been absolutely awesome in that centre, just attacking and defence and breakdown work, penalties, turnovers going well for him as well. So big switch up there. A bit of a loss to that France team, I think, there. But Barassi coming in is also a very good player. So, you know, I think it'll be a loss, but it'll be nice for them to get a bit of a switch around. Damien Pino taking over the right wing. Again, wing has been quiet, unfortunately, so we haven't seen too much from it. And finally, Jaminet in that fullback shirt, who I said had some big shoes to fill. The likes of Julan, the likes of some of the other fullbacks that they have in that France team, you know, Boutier. They've got a big bench to replace there. So, Jaminet coming in, playing brilliantly. The backfield work has been really good. The kicking to the post has been awesome. They're just proving that Australia can't afford to give them penalties, because that guy will get those kicks over the top if he need him to. We have hit the halftime mark here. I'm doing some subs quickly, so we'll quickly talk about the France finishers. That front row, Atulliard, Valka and Bamba again. So Bamba coming on in that second half. That tends to be how they've been utilising him so far, and does do well in the scrums, especially against someone who's tired. We did talk about some of the competitions that were going to come in with Bamba coming in from that bench, and he looks like he's doing well so far. A couple of different names here for me. As a go, yep. I'm trying to read off a very small screen. I thought it was As a go is someone I don't know an awful lot about. Bekogni, again, sorry for any pronunciation I'm going to mess up here. I don't know too much. Irabaran is someone else I'm not too familiar with. So we do have a couple of subscribers who are French down in the commentaries. We'll see hopefully a little inside pass here for Matthews to get a try. Feel free to drop it down in the comments. Who keep an eye on these lads, or different pronunciations and names. I always try and do as best I can with some of the pronunciations. Boutier, and finally Heritau, again another new name. So I would say out of the three tests, this is probably going to be the weakest side out of the three games for this France team. I don't know if a lot of these are down to injury, or just players going to be missing out for different reasons, or just a mix-up in the team just to get some new players going. But big work cut out, but this France team will be very, very impressed. I think Sean Edwards will be very happy with some of the defensive work that France have been showing now. Galtier will be happy with some of the picks he's been doing, and a lot of the players working well, considering they're missing quite a few of the big boys here in this France team. I think they've all worked very well so far. Right, we'll talk about Australia. We're into the 50th minute-ish now, so let's move on to Australia, looking to hopefully steal this. In all honesty, I don't think they deserved the first game win. The second game, they just looked like France were doing better than them for most of that game. So, to me, they'll be looking to steal it, even though it is 1-1, and they sort of had the advantage for this one. I think they'll be looking to try and get in here. So, starting off with this forward, James Slipper, been playing very well for them. His name is mentioned constantly around the pitch, so hopefully nice to see him. Penga Ramose will be coming in, and Ala Alatoa. And the front row hasn't been the best. Oh, sorry, the worst for Australia. The scrum's certainly been looking okay. There has been a couple of times where it's gone down. It tends to be the tight head situations going down for them, but hopefully they'll be able to work on that. Darcy Swain and Salakaya Lotto in the lock departments have been all right for them in terms of the lineouts. There have been a couple of lineouts go wrong for them. But again, in terms of ball carrying, they've been trying to work very hard. Australia love using the forwards so much. Haven't really been putting in as much as the backs I would like them to see. So hopefully we'll see a bit from him. Swinton, Hooper at 7, and Naisarani at 8. So keeping a very similar team. I think Australia must know by now they're looking that they could lose this tournament or this Test series against France. And they're not really wanting to lose. They are wanting to put out the big team. They want to keep the lads going in that they're happy with, letting them settle down. We certainly saw Russ begin to shake off in that second half of the first game. The second game, still making the same mistakes though. But not too many of them coming from the forwards in the Australia team. The Australia team forwards actually looking relatively solid and well gelled together. Moving towards the backs, McDermott coming in the scrum half, so a little change there. Lolosio at fly half, still there. For me, Lolosio hasn't had the best Test series so far. For me, it's decision making from him. Choosing to take some very odd options with kicking to back space where there isn't any, kicking over the top when wingers have got the entire area covered, just giving possession back to France, letting them have the ball. Australia are having segments of 4, 5, 6 minutes without any ball in hand, and as soon as they get it, they're playing 2 phases and just immediately kicking it away. So I think Lolosio needs to calm down on the kicking away a little bit more, and just let them play a little bit more in hand and let loose some of the other backs in the team. People like Corey Obetti, who's playing left wing still, who's had a fantastic series, probably been the standout back for me in that Australian line. Hunter Paisami and Ikitau will remain that sort of centre partnership for them. Daugunu, who I think I actually remember seeing even back in the Tri-Nations, actually. I think he's a big lad. So right wing for them, having a bit of a boost reinforcement there. And finally, Tom Banks in that full-back position. So not a lot of changes in this Australian side. They're going to be desperate for this win. And hopefully they'll be able to try and push forward. Given that there's going to be a lot of changes in this France team, the gel togetherness of the Australian team. So big to see what happens there. We'll quickly talk about the reserves. We are coming towards the game here in the background. We're going for a cheeky little set play. Jordan Ulesi is going to come in at some point. Angus Bell and Taliela Tupou, the big boy. I do like seeing Tupou come on. He's been awesome in scrummaging, actually. Just the general size of him is a bit of a monster in that scrum, so it's nice to see him in. Matt Phillip and Valentini will come in at some point in that second half. Jake Gordon, the reserve that will be coming on as well. Matt Tamua, and finally a big name here, Reece Hodge. Australia obviously know now that these games are going to come down to just a couple of points, as the first 2 games have, and someone like Reece Hodge in that sort of final 5 minutes, getting a penalty. We know he can kick from beyond the halfway line, in all honesty. They'll want to have him on just for those last-minute kicks. We saw it, unfortunately, in one of the games, some of the kicks go in a little bit wrong. For both teams, really, the kicks haven't been 100% brilliant. However, Jaminet's very much improved it now for this France team. So Reece Hodge coming in there, not necessarily the most accurate, but certainly got the range. So I think those last-minute penalties is why he will have been brought into the team, and we probably won't see him for most of the game. He'll come on in the 70th minute, especially if that game is tight, just to try and nick some of those last-minute points from long-range penalties if they can. But as for a score prediction, what do we think? Well, I've got both of them wrong so far, so whoever I call is probably going to lose. That tends to be how it goes. But for me, I think France here are putting out a slightly weak side, given how close the games have been and how many of the France team are changing for this game. I think they've probably got the weaker side for this game. Australia hopefully will learn where the issues are coming from. They haven't done in the last game at all. Hopefully we'll be able to see them improve in this game and look at how the France are doing their breakdown situation and their defence setup, and hopefully come up with a bit of ingenuity and use their backs a little bit more. So personally for me, I think I'm going to call an Australian win. I still don't think it'll be by a lot. I'm going to say Australia by 7 for this one, and I think it might even be closer than that, but I'm going to call Australia by 7, and we'll see if Australia can learn from the mistakes they've made in the past to try and shut down some of that that French dominance we've seen so far in this test series. But if you have enjoyed today, guys, make sure you like this video and make sure you drop down in the comments your thoughts on this game, your thoughts on the test series. A couple of people did go back and comment on the preview video we did for the first game and left some thoughts and stuff. It's really nice to see what people think of the game, what you think the score prediction will be, what you think the difference will be, and who you think might even score some tries, because it's certainly opening up in this test, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully yet another tight-knit game. This game's going to be on this Saturday. I believe it's at 11 AM kickoff in the UK, and it will be, of course, being on Sky, as all these games have been so far. So I hope you've all enjoyed today, guys. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.